Good morning. Welcome to this edition of the Weather Desk. Today is Monday. It's the 9th of June. Man, the month of June just rolling right along. We had Harborfest weekend here in Hampton Roads. Great time. Had some storms roll through at times as well, but they were able to get the drone show off Friday night. The fireworks came off Saturday night. It was just a great weekend. Well, you found us here on the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. It's a pleasure to be with you. We do this tackling today's top weather headlines each and every weekday morning, starting around 9 o'clock right here on 13 News Now Plus. Today, we're going to talk about more storms for the eastern U.S. and for the southeast United States. We'll get into that. I'll show you some storm damage from down in Georgia coming up in just a moment. We also have the update on the Colombian earthquake that took place yesterday. There is a missing climber in Peru, and we're going to talk about the search for that climber and what that person is dealing with in terms of the weather. It is an extreme climate that this individual is facing. So we'll hear more on him coming up. And then we're going to update you on the tropics, while currently the Atlantic Basin's still pretty quiet. In the Eastern Pacific, we have two named systems and a third one that could be developing pretty quickly. So a lot of action over there. We'll talk about that. We'll look back at the historical, back into the record books on what was Hurricane Aaron from a number of years back, as we kind of continue to work our way through our named storms for this upcoming hurricane season as well. So a lot of good stuff to talk to you about on this edition of the Weather Desk. We're also going to take a look at what we've been dealing with right here in Hampton Roads. And I think we've got some video to show you overnight of storms that came rolling through our area. This was captured from a couple of our sky views, the one from up at Oyster Point over Newport News. You see the lightning. There was very heavy rain. When I woke up this morning, there were flash flood warnings for parts of Hampton and back up on the peninsula. Radar estimates had parts of Virginia, central Virginia, picking up 3 to 4 inches of rain. There's one spot even locally higher than that. Again, that was west of our viewing area, but very heavy rain overnight, and some lightning also detected from our Norfolk sky views as well. So a lot going on overnight. I'm happy to report those storms have pushed east of the area. They're offshore, and we now will watch out to the west. We've got a couple more frontal boundaries here that are going to work their way eastward and bring us additional chances for wet weather. We've also been tracking some pretty intense storms down across parts of the southeastern U.S. You take a look at the storm reports as they were coming in across parts of the southeast. Some wind damage reported, tornadoes back across parts of the central U.S., parts of Colorado down into Texas. There are a couple tornado warnings and some reports. Again, these are storm reports. You can see the activity that took place over the weekend. I want to take you down to show you the isolated severe storms in North Georgia. This was Sunday. Again, we've got some video to show you, causing damage to a home in Gwinnett County, Georgia. So I believe we've got some video there. We'll want to take a look at that severe weather. Here's the story.
I was in the living room and my wife was in the kitchen, and we had dogs throughout the house.
Outside, rain slapped the roof. Lightning flashed. Thunder pealed. It was nearing 6:30 p.m., dinner time. So Rob Bexley called in an order for Chinese. All of a sudden,
we hear a boom, a large boom, and we thought maybe it was lightning had struck close by.
And then
the house shook like a bomb went off, and things fell off the walls, and spices came out of the spice rack, and we all at that point figured, well, a tornado or something bad has happened.
He, his wife Courtney, his sister-in-law Carly, the 7 dogs, they all hurried down to the basement. It was no tornado, but a yellow poplar, 60 or 70 feet tall, that crashed down from out of the woods, cleaving off the wall to an upstairs bedroom. Step inside. It's a chaos of insulation and boxes and splintered wood. A blue tarp, tacked on by tree removal workers, covers the gaping hole.
Everybody is extremely shaken up, and the dogs were very freaked out. But we moved everybody into the basement, and nobody was hurt, luckily.
Despite the disaster, most of the house looks unscathed. It still has power, gas, cable TV, the master bedroom intact. So yes, the Bexleys still have a roof over their heads.
saying, oh, woe is me, and why me, why doesn't take the tree out of my front lawn, doesn't fix anything. Just keep a clear head about you.
Again, that's just one of the stories represented here when you see all of these storm reports. A lot of damage from some of these powerful storms. It has been a really rough spring for parts of the country. You can see the existing flash flood. We've got a couple warnings, and we've got an advisory here over southern Alabama right now. So still some issues with flooding, but no active warnings in terms of severe weather at this point. I want to talk to you about the outlook, though, and let's take a look at this. You can see a level 2 or a slight risk is in place from New York State, western New York State, down through western PA, West Virginia, eastern parts of Kentucky, much of Tennessee, and then you go Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and a good chunk of North Carolina, all under that level 2 or slight risk. Also parts of eastern New Mexico. There's a level 1 threat down across Texas and Louisiana, and you can see that level 1 threat for today. It is just off to the southwest of the 13 News Now viewing area. So we serve here, if you're watching from other parts of the country or around the world, this is our main television broadcast areas, Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. It includes the Outer Banks. Also, it includes Virginia Beach, and you can see the eastern shore of Virginia, and then the 7 cities. We have Norfolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Hampton, Newport News, and up towards Williamsburg. These areas all included in our coverage. So we're technically not under a severe weather outlook for today, but just off to the west and to the southwest, there is that chance for stronger storms. Now, the tornadic outlook, a little more elevated back across western parts of New York State, Pennsylvania, into West Virginia and Ohio, and then down across central parts of Alabama into Mississippi. Those are the areas, and it's not a tremendous chance, but it is slightly elevated, that risk of tornadoes for those locations. As far as large hail, we don't have anywhere that's really identified for a high threat of it, but the threat is elevated from New Mexico across Texas and all the way back up through this area, parts of the southeast, through Tennessee, Kentucky, and up into West Virginia and western Pennsylvania. Also a little bit there into Michigan, the lower peninsula. Now, gusty winds will be the primary threat. That's all the way through the Carolinas and Georgia, back out across eastern New Mexico as well. This is all for today. As we look ahead to tomorrow, not as much of that level 2 or slight risk. There is West Texas still under that level 2 threat, but most of Texas under level 1, southern parts of Louisiana, including New Orleans, back over to southern Mississippi, and then here in the Southeast U.S. from Georgia and South Carolina through North Carolina and all the way up through Hampton Roads. We do have this level 1 threat for severe storms tomorrow. So I do think we have the potential for a few isolated stronger storms. Not much of a tornadic threat, just a little bit there in West Texas. And again, that's at lowest level. Now, hail a little more likely over West Texas, so we'll be watching those areas tomorrow. Again, we're not looking at too much here in Hampton Roads, but there is the potential for a few of these cells that develop tomorrow to produce some locally gusty and potentially damaging winds here in the mid-Atlantic, down across Texas again, a little bit of a wind threat, and you might see the winds kicking up with some stronger storms up in parts of Montana and even southern Oregon. So one of those areas where we don't typically see the outlooks as severe weather outlooks as much once you get into the Pacific Northwest, but it is the case for tomorrow. Looking ahead to Wednesday, more showers and storms, some potential for severe weather here. It's a level 1 threat. On Wednesday, back across Wyoming, up through southern Montana, southern Idaho, and the Salt Lake Valley. Again, kind of a different area for severe storms. I worked out in Salt Lake City from 1994 to 1997, and we would get high base thunderstorms. You could get some microbursts, and you certainly get your share of interesting weather back in the Salt Lake Valley and back into the Uintas, the Wasatch Range out that way. But again, to see that severe weather outlook, it is kind of interesting to see it for that part of the country. Back across Texas, no strangers to severe weather. They've got a level 1 threat for Wednesday. We'll be in much better shape here along the East Coast. All right, let's get into the futurecast and take a look at how things play out today. Again, line of showers and storms working across parts of the Ohio River Valley down through the lower Mississippi Valley. Still unsettled back across Alabama into Georgia. And then we've got some more wet weather around the Dallas area, North Texas a little bit later on. As that area of low pressure moves along through the western Great Lakes, storms out ahead of it. Some heavier storms down around South Carolina. That's heading into the evening. And we'll have generally pretty quiet conditions for a good chunk of the day, but a few isolated storms are still possible today here in Hampton Roads. So we'll be watching for that. Better chances for storms down to the south and along the Florida Gulf Coast. Back across Texas, some isolated strong storms as well. This is for early Tuesday. I expect to be tracking scattered showers and storms tomorrow morning here in Hampton Roads. And as we go through the afternoon, more showers and storms. Could see some heavier activity later in the afternoon or early evening back across Hampton Roads tomorrow down to the south. And look at the eruption of storms back across Texas. This is based on the graph model. While things are quiet over a good chunk of the country here around the Ohio River Valley, the upper Mississippi Valley, there will still be our hot spots, and we will be watching for some of those storms to develop tomorrow. So that's a look ahead at the weather. I want to talk to you now about earthquakes. And you take a look at the activity here. Let's take this full, and I'll just show you what we're looking at nationally before we get to a big earthquake that occurred down to the south. And we'll get into it. But I did want to show you, since we've got a brand new little, we got a few red dots here. These are all indicating activity within the last hour. So we've got this one here in Texas. Again, it looks like a little one. Yeah, barely, just a 1.0 magnitude, not a big deal there. Hardly even noticeable to anybody. Magnitude 1.1 there in California. All of these just little tiny tremors, really not a big deal there. But we'll turn our attention down to the south, and where you see this larger dot here, not far from Bogota in Colombia. Here we had a 6.3 magnitude earthquake. That was much more significant. The depth on that earthquake, 6 miles. And again, this occurred yesterday. This 6.3 magnitude earthquake striking central Colombia during the day on Sunday. Fortunately, no casualties were immediately reported. And again, this hit at that depth of about 6.2 miles. The Colombian Geological Service says additional tremors with magnitudes ranging from 4 to 4.6 happened in the same area in the minutes following. The National Unit for Disaster Risk Management also said on X that it was assessing the situation in several municipalities. So again, we continue to watch that. Now we're going to turn our attention a little farther to the south and into Peru. And this is where family and friends of a mountain climber who hasn't been heard from in over a week are trying to maintain hope that he's still alive. He's missing in the Andes of Peru, and it's one of the Earth's most unforgiving environments. Allison Kosick with ABC has more.
This morning, a massive search effort is underway on one of South America's highest peaks to find 36-year-old Edson Vandeira. He's been missing in Peru for more than a week, along with 2 other climbers.
The reason he is there is because of his love for the mountains.
Vandeira's ex-wife, Natalia, says he's always been passionate about reaching the highest heights. His latest adventure? To climb Artisan Raju Mountain in the Andes in Peru. At nearly 20,000 feet, it's known for its near-perfect pyramid shape, a place to push the limits.
The steepness of it can be very challenging. And a lot of times the descent and the rappel from that mountain can be very challenging because of the steepness and the constant snow and ice that you have to deal with.
Vandeira, a climber for 17 years, documents his climbs on social media. His photography has also appeared in National Geographic. He used to live in Minnesota, and that's where Natalia and others are monitoring the search and raising money for the effort.
I was very hopeful. Now, I don't know, I don't want to lose my hopes, but it's just hard. It's been a very rough couple of days.
His friends say Vandeira is a technical climber, meticulous and organized. But searchers have also seen signs of an avalanche on the mountain.
When things go well, it's super fun, but things can turn in a blink of an eye.
Crews are using drones and a government helicopter in the search. Natalia says he was making the climb as training to be certified as a high mountain guide. Allison Cossack, ABC News, New York.
Certainly hoping we get some good news and a good update on that. We will continue to watch it and we'll let you know. All right, it's time for our tropical update, and I want to talk to you about what's happening or what's not happening right now in the Atlantic. You can see the Gulf very quiet. Things are pretty quiet along the southeast coastline. We've got a front that came through that's triggering some showers and storms. That is not tropical at this point. As we look down across the Caribbean, most of the Caribbean pretty quiet, but we do have a blossoming of some storms here. I always monitor clusters of storms like this. Hurricane Center does not have any expected activity within the coming 7 days, but I'll tell you, we'll still keep a close eye to the Caribbean and let you know if anything changes there. Looking out across the main development region, things are also pretty quiet, and we have a lot of Saharan dust out there. So again, there's pretty good feeling right now that things remain pretty quiet here on the Atlantic side, but it is a different story in the Eastern Pacific. Here's where we have our two named systems, Barbara and Cosme. So let's take a look at those and what's potentially developing on the heels of Barbara. You take a look here, and this is the 5 a.m. update. We'll be getting another one in before too long. We should have an 11 a.m. update coming in. We'll look forward to that. It is forecast to become a hurricane later today, and we'll see if that actually takes place. We had Alvin before, but Barbara's set to actually strengthen a bit more than Alvin and become a hurricane later on today. We'll see if that happens. You can see right now the movement is west-northwest at 12 miles per hour. Those winds, 70 miles per hour, gusting to 85. So it's just below hurricane force right now. It's a very powerful tropical storm. Eventually, it is going to weaken as it continues off to the northwest and then turns to the west into the middle part of the week. Now, I mentioned Barbara. We also have Cosme, and this one is moving west-northwest at 9. Maximum winds at 50. And those gusts a little bit higher. The movement to the west, eventually kind of moving up to the north. Remember, Barbara's kind of out there. The two may interact with each other a little bit as we get into the middle part of the week. We'll see how they play with one another. But the bottom line here, this is forecast to strengthen a bit more. It may or may not actually reach hurricane force. This one, too, should stay offshore. Now, a little closer to the Mexican coast, again, there's Barbara. We've got another area here that as it moves off to the west, still a couple hundred miles offshore from the southern Mexican coastline here, there's now a 60% chance of development. So we need to keep a close eye to the tropics, certainly the Eastern Pacific. We're watching a lot of activity, but no real threat to land right now. That's all good. And fortunately, here in the Atlantic side, we're starting off the 2025 Atlantic season, and so far, not too much activity. We'll be happy to say that. But we also like to take a look back at past storms. And today, the storm we're looking back on, a tropical wave that stirred up near the Bahamas 30 years ago, resulting in what would become Hurricane Erin. Meteorologist Hunter Forst explains the history behind the storm with a breakdown of its impacts.
In late July 1995, a tropical wave near the Bahamas began to organize. By July 31st, it became Tropical Storm Erin. Just a short while later, it strengthened into a Category 1 hurricane, and on August 2nd, Erin slammed into the east coast of Florida near Vero Beach with winds around 85 miles per hour. It churned across the state, causing widespread power outages, heavy rain, and coastal flooding. But Erin wasn't done yet. After crossing the state of Florida, the storm moved into the Gulf of Mexico, where it regained strength, and on August 3rd made a second landfall, but this time as a Category 2 hurricane near Pensacola, Florida. Winds gusted over 100 miles per hour, and storm surge flooded parts of the Panhandle. Though not a monster storm by historical standards, Erin caused $700 million in damage and led to 13 deaths across its path. It was the first hurricane to hit the U.S. in a very active 1995 season, a warning shot before bigger storms arrived, like Hurricane Opal just 2 months later. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forst.
Really great information there, Hunter. I hadn't realized that Erin did claim 13 lives. You know, that's significant. Obviously, you don't want to lose any lives at all, but these storms do take a toll. This name, however, was not retired. You'll notice Aaron is the E name in this year's lineup. So while it did do some damage by historical comparisons to the major hurricanes and the storms that just do tremendous amounts of damage and have a tremendous toll on human life, Aaron was not as bad as a lot of the other ones. So Aaron's name's still in the mix, and we'll see what Aaron looks like upcoming this season. After Aaron, we have Fernand, we've got Gabrielle, Umberto, Imelda, Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, and Nestor. And by the way, Nestor, that is the 14th named storm of the season, or name on the list, I should say. If we get to Nestor, that is the average, what we typically expect during a normal tropical season, up to 14 named storms. And then if we go beyond that, you see Olga, Pablo, Rebecca, Sebastian, Tanya, Van, and Wendy, just to give you the full list. I want to remind you, no matter what develops, you can always have more information on how to prepare for the hurricane season and what to do if a hurricane strikes when you access the 13 News Now Hurricane Guide. Now, to get it, just text the number on your screen, the number to find that. It is 757-628-6200, and we'll send you back a link to that hurricane guide. Again, a number that you can text. Don't call it, but text. That's area code 757-628-6200. You send a text there, and they can send you a link to our hurricane guide. All right, let's take a look now at our sky view. And down at the ocean front, fortunately, nothing tropical to worry about. You can see the waves, really not much of an issue out there as we check out the Thompson Creek Window Company sky view. We do have some clouds right now. We'll see more sunshine breaking through. And we have gone from cloudy to variably cloudy or mostly cloudy right now. We're starting to see the sunshine peeking through already. Light north-northwest winds, 3 miles per hour. The dew point's at 69. All right, at the beaches today, we're going to find temperatures in the mid-80s. UV index, with it becoming partly to mostly sunny a bit later, that UV index is going to be high. The rip current threat is low. Water temperatures at 72. That's on the ocean near Virginia Beach. You take a look at the Chesapeake Bay, the water temperature there also 72. Winds fairly light from the southwest, shifting to the east at 5 to 10 knots, and the waves there 1 to 2 feet. High tide was at 8:40, and the low tide comes this afternoon at 2:30. That's for Sewell's Point. Now, as we take a look at the next 9 hours here in Hampton Roads, we're going to find temperatures up into the upper 80s, some inland spots close to 90, a little cooler at the beaches, and that has not updated. We actually have our humidity level with dew points in the upper 60s right now. We're going to be in the low 70s tomorrow, so we're actually looking for more humidity. I'm not sure why that graphic just went flat on me there, but trust me, we've got hot and humid conditions today and tomorrow, and then lower humidity Wednesday and Thursday. It'll build a little bit more as we head to the Father's Day weekend. And it's interesting or significant to note our rain chances. While we could see a few stray showers or storms this afternoon, we'll look for more scattered activity tomorrow, much lower risk Wednesday and Thursday, and then the chances going back up, as I mentioned, late Friday evening into Saturday, some scattered wet weather. We're not looking at any of that right now. We do have some cloud cover out there, but we're set to enjoy some more sunshine a little bit later as well. You'll see how things do clear out. Later this afternoon, could see a few stray showers or storms, mainly down to the south and out to the west. But keep an eye to the radar right here. We could see a little something popping up even around Hampton Roads, closer to the metro area around 7 or 7:30. Heading through the overnight, things not looking too bad, but tomorrow morning I may have a few more scattered showers and stronger storms or heavier downpours to track during daybreak. We'll see that chance for rain through the late morning. And then into the afternoon, some heavier downpours there as well. Looking ahead through the afternoon and into the evening, there'll be some breaks from time to time. Remember, we talked about that. Not going to be a total nonstop washout, but rather hit and miss showers and storms, some breaks here. And look at how this kind of splits. You have some of it down to the south, some heavier activity, and some stuff off to the north. There will be parts, I think, of Hampton Roads that may luck out and not get hit with as much. That coming late tomorrow. Once that clears out, things look a lot brighter for us on Wednesday, just a low risk of a stray shower or storm. Grass pollen is moderate. Tree pollen is down now. That is good news. Highs today, again, mid-80s right at the coast and then upper 80s to near 90 inland. For the peninsula, Hampton 86, 87 for Williamsburg and Newport News. A little cooler over to the eastern shore. Down over northeast North Carolina, low 90s, upper 80s for some spots and mid to upper 80s at the Outer Banks. Look for that stray shower or storm later today. Temperatures tonight near 73. Again, chances for wet weather, especially as we head towards sunrise tomorrow. And then during the day, chances for scattered showers and a few stronger storms. Remember, we've got that level 1 threat or a marginal risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Now, the 7-day forecast does call for less humidity and a little bit of a cool down there on Wednesday, back into the low to mid 80s. But we're going to warm right back up on Thursday. Temperatures climbing up to 89, 89 on Friday. Chances for evening storms Friday into Saturday. Some isolated wet weather to scattered Saturday into Sunday. So a little unsettled as we go forward towards the Father's Day weekend. Want to remind you, a great way to stay in touch with our forecasts is by downloading the 13 News Now mobile app. You can do that by scanning that QR code. And again, that'll take you to live radars, our forecast update, and also keep you updated when we have severe weather or special coverage, break-ins, any additional streaming. There are links, and you can learn more about that when you download the 13 News Now mobile app. It's absolutely free and always available as a great resource to keep you plugged in to the weather. Another great way to stay plugged in is by joining us each and every day at 9 o'clock for the Weather Desk. We do tackle the top weather stories day in, day out, Monday through Friday, right here on 13 News Now Plus. Again, I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, broadcasting from Norfolk, Virginia, right at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay, Norfolk, Virginia Beach area, Hampton Roads in northeast North Carolina. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. We'll see you tomorrow.